Hi, what's your
Hi.
name and your age?
Hi, my name is Daniela and I'm 18 years old.
Okay, hi, Danny. I'm going to ask you some questions about cultural awareness and cultural stereotypes.
Okay.
The first question is, what do you think is cultural stereotypes?
I think cultural stereotypes are like the ideas that we have of the other cultures because of what we've heard or seen without exactly knowing what that culture really is or the reason behind their actions or some traditions that they have.
Do you think cultural stereotypes affects who we surround ourselves with or who we establish a conversation with?
Yes, I think that it could affect because sometimes we like establish our barriers or our beliefs according to what other people tell us, and these can like cause like some type of rejection to other people, and we instead we should like investigate and really like getting to know the cultures and the people, because I think that it's not about what we think. I think that we should um, understand that everyone is different, and different it's not bad, it's just different, and we're not able to understand that nowadays.
How did you acquire this perspective?
I think it was acquired like since I was a little kid, because and it has been developing. I don't have the same thoughts as I had when I was younger. So maybe these beliefs first are introduced into our lives by our family, that are the closest people that we have, and as time passes by we are still like getting new beliefs and things as we live as we are having like new experiences.
Okay, and what is the impact that cultural stereotypes has had on your personal life? Or have you ever been judged because of where you come from or your cultural roots?
Personally, I haven't, but I think like my culture or like Mexicans are constantly judged and known by, for example, criminals and people that, or thieves, for example, or drug dealers. And I think that, as I mentioned, personally, I haven't been judged, but I think our culture is constantly like misunderstood and according to what has been said.
How do you think other people or other peoples around you, especially, acquire their perspectives on their beliefs? Do you think it's their own criteria or is it the influence of a lot of criterias?
I think it's both, but mostly like the influence of external criterias, because as I said, we like um, get our beliefs according to our surroundings, and we can conclude or have our own conclusions, but I think we are formed based on our families and relationships, like friends, and those combinations of beliefs are what form our personality and our criteria and our beliefs also.
And how, in your own words, what would you say is the economic, environmental, and social impact that this issue has in our country?
Okay, so economic, I think that can be like, for example, a job, because if we have this like prejudice of other culture, for example, a Chinese. If a Chinese comes into a place to ask for a job, maybe that person has like a wrong idea of that culture, so that person can miss the job and that opportunity because of a wrong impression. Um, Environmental, I don't think I have an example because I don't think this is something that affects directly the environment. But socially, I think that can affect because it creates barriers between people and cultures. It takes away opportunities of getting to know new people and new cultures because of these wrong ideas that we have. So I think that those things are what can be affected by this.
And finally, how do you think cultural stereotypes are present in Mexico?
Well, as I mentioned, I think that some wrong ideals that we have, or like those labels, are that we are like thieves and drug dealers and drug addicts. And all that also can affect opportunities of Mexicans in other places, like a job, or sometimes because of this, people in other countries are mistreated. And I think that that is the main reason that is affecting our country.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you.
Hi, can you please tell me your name and your age, please?
My name is Alex Byzantine, and I am 18 years old.
Okay. And the first question is, what do you think about cultural stereotypes?
Well, I mean, they're I think they're pretty common, in all parts of the world, and I think that it's just something that's never going to go away. So, yeah, it's my thought.
Do you think we can change that?
Um, no, not necessarily, but I think maybe um, you can't change, the whole. You can't change something that's been part of culture forever since the beginning of time. People have always judged people on the way they look or the way they talk. So I don't think you can change that. But
Okay.
yeah,
And do you think cultural stereotypes affects who we surround ourselves with or who we establish a conversation with?
definitely. Yeah, I think that for sure.
In what way?
Well, sometimes, most of the time, and for example, where I live, which is in the United States, there's multi cultures. There's different cultures everywhere. Chinese, Hispanic, all kinds of people. So those people, they identify with people of their own culture, so uh, they'd rather surround themselves with people who understand,
Their own
their uh,
culture.
their culture. Yeah.
Okay. And how did you acquire this perspective? Do you think your point of view was made because of the society or it was established since you were born?
Well, it was definitely established by society. And growing up, you realize certain people like to hang out with certain people. So yeah, it was definitely society. It wasn't me. I wasn't born with that.
Okay. And has cultural stereotype had an impact on your personal life, or have you ever been judged because of where you come from?
Yeah, definitely. I've been judged because of the color of my skin. It's just something that happens. You can't avoid it. If you want to go out someplace, there's always going to be somebody that's going to make an assumption or some kind. So you just gotta get used to it. It's not really a big deal. So yeah.
Okay. And you manage the judgment by just getting used to it?
Yeah, you don't really think much about it because that person, you know, they don't know anything about you. You don't know anything about them, so just don't worry about it. Yeah.
Okay, and how do you think other people or the people around you acquire their beliefs? Do you think is also because of the influence of the social media and criterias?
Of course, social media plays a big part in that, and definitely also um, at home. Your parents, what your parents teach you, that also plays a huge part in the way you see the world. So yeah.
Okay, and as we grow up, I think we start to develop our own criteria and it influences other people's criteria, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure, definitely, of course.
And
Individuality is the best part about being a person. So
yeah, you're correct. And how do you think that cultural stereotypes affect your country in an economic way? Do you think they affect them?
no, no, definitely not. No.
And in an environmental way?
Um, environmental.
Or do you think it's just socially affected?
I think it's just a social thing.
And how do
Yeah.
you think it affects like your country?
What do you mean by that?
Like, do you think they establish like different kinds of judgments and barrier between people like in your country? You were saying that there are a lot of Chinese, a lot of Hispanic people. Do you think that causes like barriers and they start to make people like distance each other?
Um, not as much anymore as when the country was first founded and all that. But I think there's still, I think there's still definitely barriers, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing because being part of a culture is a great thing. You can identify with people and the holidays and different celebrations and parties and stuff. That's the best part about being part of something like that, like a culture. So yeah.
Okay, so the last question is how do you think stereotypes are present here in Mexico? You, like as an American, have you ever been judged here in Mexico because of, I don't know, they're calling you like really offensive terms or something like that?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that kind of stuff happens, in different parts of the world. Like when you're from somewhere different, and you go somewhere else, some people are gonna talk. People are gonna look at you funny. So
And how do you think we can like through time get over these cultural stereotypes? Do you think it's a matter of like education? Because if we start to educate people since they're little, like teach them some different cultures and try to make them like accept that there are a lot of different people and they don't have to judge, do you think this is going to change like through time or is just gonna
yeah.
stay like forever?
Hmm. Yeah, right. So that definitely can change the way people think about different cultures, raising them right, teaching them about um, not necessarily forcing anything upon them, but just letting them know that there's all kinds of people in this world, and you just gotta you know understand that. So yeah, I
Okay,
think that,
thank you very much, Alex.
thank you, Marifed.